Hey, welcome to the Sunday preview this week. We have a reading from the Sermon on the Mount, the Gospel of Matthew. And it says, Jesus said to his disciples, I tell you, unless your righteousness surpasses that of the scribes and Pharisees, you will not enter the kingdom of heaven. You have heard that it was said to your ancestors, you shall not kill. Whoever kills will be liable to judgment. But I say to you, whoever is angry with his brother will be liable to judgment. You have heard it said, you shall not commit adultery. But I say to you, everyone who looks at a woman with lust has already committed adultery with her in his heart. Again, you have heard it said to your ancestors, do not take a false oath, but make good to the Lord all that you vow. But I say to you, do not swear at all. Let your yes mean yes, and your no mean no. Anything more is from the evil one. The Gospel of the Lord. Well, this part of the Gospel is called Jesus' famous antitheses, where he says, on the one hand, the Old Testament says this, but I say this to you. And he ups the ante and raises the stakes. And first of all, what he does here is put himself kind of in contrast to the old law, which may not sound like a big deal to us because, we accept Jesus as the Lord and Son of God. But for somebody at that time, listening to Jesus claim authority over the Old Testament law, well, he was making himself greater than Moses and establishing a new law that was a higher law, a more demanding law. Right? And the old law was you shall not kill, you shall not commit adultery. And people tended to interpret those in the most minimal way. But Jesus comes along and says, but I say to you, the new law is this. Ultimately, it's the new law of love, which has to go to our heart. And our heart has to be converted, not just our external actions. He also raises the stakes by saying, unless your virtue surpasses that of the scribes and Pharisees, you shall not enter the kingdom of heaven. Now, in Jesus' day, everybody thought the Pharisees and scribes were the ultimate. There was nobody who could surpass them because they were so virtuous and perfect. And Jesus throws down a challenge to them. No, they are the minimalists of the law. They're the ones who find excuses to get around things. And, we Christians can fall into the same trap. Just trying to see following Christ as, okay, what's the least I have to do to, still be in good with God? And Jesus is exploding that whole narrative right here. And he's saying to us, no, the way to follow me is the way of going for holiness. And that has no limit on it. It's open-ended. To live the virtues of purity, live the virtues of charity, live the virtues of truthfulness and honesty and openness. That's the way I want you to live. And on that kind of law, there's no limit because it's love that determines what we do and how we discern and how we act, even how we think and judge. And so following Christ is much more than just following a bunch of rules. That's just the beginning. It's also becoming a saint. Is that the kind of Christ we're looking for?